And thank you. And I'm excited to be here with you all. Back to you, Dana.
Thank you, Gary. I'm sorry about that. I thought if I don't push that button, we're going to forget. Okay, thank you. This is a leadership series. So tonight is night 1 for 4 additional nights. And we had a kickoff. So I wanted to tell you just during our kickoff, in case you weren't there, it was sort of informational session about all the different topics that we're going to cover at each of our different sessions. And also to give you an opportunity to provide us some input into the kinds of topics that you want to hear about. So we have kind of made some adjustments as we're going along the way. But that is what we did on March 30th. I wanted to just share 2 ground rules, and that really is just to take an opportunity to mute yourself now if you're not, and to stay muted unless you're coming off to say something, and I'm going to have you do that in just a minute. And just also to remember that not everybody has all of the same opinions. And so let's kind of be open-minded about one another and what they might be sharing, even if you don't agree. It's okay to not agree, but just because you disagree doesn't mean you're right and they're wrong. So just keep those things in mind, because we'll probably touch on some topics that we'll have differing opinions on. You see that tonight we're going to create a vision, set goals, track progress. We're actually not going to create a vision. We're going to talk about creating a vision, and you'll have an opportunity to kind of toy with it a little bit. And then our next meeting will be April 22nd. We'll talk about that later. But we're going to take an opportunity to get to know each other. I'm going to pass it back to you, Gary.
Thanks. We've got 33 people on it. So if we took time to have everybody introduce themselves, we wouldn't have any time for the program. But I wanted to say a few words about the importance of when we come together, whether it's at a meeting or it's in a group or just 2 of us individually, we take the time to start building relationships and getting to know one another. Now, we're going to have a whole program on this later on, but I just wanted to share the importance. It doesn't have to be very long, but just to say, how's your day? What are we doing? Or maybe a little bit more extensive. Who am I? Who are you? What are your passions? What are your objectives? What are your challenges? And just to take the time to start seeing each other. We do this. I did this with the groups and cancer survivors and caregivers, and it's just important. And nursing is doing it. When they come on the shift, they will just do a quick report with each other. What's going on? Meaning, how are they doing? How was your night? How are you coming in? Just so that we can start saying, what can I do to support you during this time together? So what we're going to do, we've decided to do something else, and I'm going to turn it over to Dana to do our exciting get to know each other.
This is going to be the fastest introduction that you all have ever been a part of. I would be willing to wager. So what I'm going to do, we are going to work on building relationships and getting to know one another later in a different program, as Gary mentioned. But today, since we can't do that, I still want you all to have an opportunity to say hello to each other. So I would ask that everybody, all 33 of you, come off of mute. And if you would, I'm going to count to 3. And on the count of 3, I want everybody to say hi. And you know what I'm going to do? Wait till I count to 3. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture. So if you want to wave too, that would be wonderful. And hold it a minute, because I'm going to get page 2. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you. See, that was the fastest you've ever had to do. And it was easy, wasn't it? Because everybody else is doing it with you. So thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and start talking about some of our content, so we make sure we get through everything. But this is going to be very interactive. So what I would like for you to do at this time, if you've ever done AHA slides, you know what this is. If you've ever used a QR code, you know what this is. But I'm holding up my cell phone, my camera, And if you hold your camera up to that QR code, it will take you to this AHA Slides. So you'll have something drop down from the top. Mine says open in Chrome. Yours might say open in Safari or something like that. And now you should see something that says, what knowledge do you want to gain? If you'd rather go in through a browser, you can put in ahaslides.com/ROTR1, Rotarians on the Rise, session 1. So I see better communication, influence. Oh, good. We have a session coming up, delegating, influence, and accountability. My trigger points. Oh, good one. Diverse leadership, organizational skills. Excellent. Better execution. Oh, good. We're going to talk about that tonight. Stress management, time management. Trigger points. I'm going to take a picture of this too after everything comes in, because if there are things we didn't cover, there are email links to things that I can send you of either different videos or just something to read or a tool or tactic, and we will make sure we do that too. Other ideas, leadership skills, engaging others. We do have a section coming up too where we'll talk about employee engagement and emotional intelligence. So we will really get into that then. Connecting to people's why. Oh, good one. Self-confidence. Progress monitoring. Oh, good. We're going to talk about that today too. Difficult conversations. If I can have a mute. I think that was you, Gary. I'm sorry. I'm going to mute you just for a second. If you see the time management one there that's kind of big in the middle, it's because more than one person has said that. Diversity, member engagement. Good, good, good. Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you. I went ahead and captured it. And we're going to start talking about our content now. So this is a leadership series, and today's session is about vision, goal setting, and monitoring our progress, tracking progress. But leaders set a vision. So now I would like you to take an opportunity to just put in what one word you think best describes leadership. Is that showing up on your AHA Slides? Oh, good. Honesty, fair, inclusion, engaging. Positivity, courage, communication, action. These are good. Notice how everything has a very positive connotation to it. All of the words have very positive connotations. I'm happy to see that. If it was going the other way, it might just be, you know, a personal experience that you had. But when we think about leadership, we do think about good leadership as opposed to bad leadership. And there's a lot of things that go into being a good leader, obviously. It's why there are so many classes and books and you name it, right? We're always developing, and there are new things that come out that help us get better. Leadership defined as the capacity and will to rally people to a common purpose. And if we think about it in the world of Rotary, we rally our club members, maybe a committee, or when it's giving time, we rally people around giving. So at work, what is it that you're rallying around? So you might have strategic initiatives. You might have like a peak time, a peak work time, like think about retail at Christmas time. So you have to kind of rally up for that. And, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel, that kind of thing. But it really, it also is about helping people create a vision. Now, if you're the CEO at the top of the organization, you're working with your C-suite executives on creating a vision, that's a group, but you might have a team or a division that's creating their own vision. So that's important. And we need to think about the why around the vision. Okay, so let's look what else came in. Clarity, fun, inspiration, accountable. Yes.
Coach.
Humanity. Go ahead, Gary.
No, I was just saying coach, inclusive.
Oh, grit. That's a good one too. Direction. That's good stuff.
Empathetic.
Yeah. Is there anything on there that surprises anybody? If you want to come off of mute and tell us, you're welcome to. Okay. So I wanted to kind of take a deeper dive into the leader talking about a vision. So if you look at this slide, I've integrated some additional words, but this is taken right off of ri.org. So here just an example, why. Rotary International's why. Rotary International is an international service organization whose stated purpose is to bring together business and professional leaders to do what? In order to provide humanitarian service. And what will happen if we do that? We'll advance goodwill and peace around the world. Who wouldn't want to get behind that, right? That's a very inspiring, it's not the true vision statement, it's part of the vision messaging. But if you think about advancing goodwill and peace around the world, people can get behind that pretty easily. So that's kind of part of when you start thinking about creating a vision, the different things that we need to think about. So creating and sharing a vision for the future. A vision is your company's North Star. Maybe you've heard that before. Now, at this time, what I would like to do is share a video with you. And it is not quite 4 minutes, I believe. Are you seeing a picture of a woman right now that says leading with vision? Okay, great.
Yep.
So I will go ahead and play that, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Have you ever heard the saying, happiness is only real when shared? A similar idea applies to being a leader and having a vision. Vision is only realized when shared. In other words, if you don't have a good way to communicate your vision to others, or if they can't picture your vision and get excited about it, then it's far more difficult to achieve it. So, how can you express your vision to employees? And how can you make it compelling enough for them to get on board with it? The answer to these questions are up next. But before we get there, let's start with the basics. Let's get on the same page about what it means to have a vision. Vision is the ability to imagine what you want the future of your company to look like and create a plan for how to get there. Vision is typically expressed through what's called a vision statement. A vision statement is a 1 or 2 sentence declaration of a company's purpose and aspirations. It answers these questions. Where are we going? And what does success look like? A vision statement is so important because it gives your company direction, unites your team, strengthens shared goals, and serves as a North Star for navigating company decisions. So what makes a vision statement effective? Here's a checklist. First, a vision statement should be future-oriented. Envision what you want the company to look like at least 5 years from now or longer. Second, make your vision statement directional. It should establish where the company is heading and give your team a direction for moving forward. Next, it should be audacious and inspirational. Vision statements are not the place for small or short-term goals. Think big, dream broadly and boldly. Your imagination is your limit. However, make sure to tailor your vision statement so that it's specific to your business. Don't make it generic. It should be memorable and clearly express what stands out about your company. Finally, a good vision statement is short and simple. It's not overly complex. Distill big dreams and ideas into a short and punchy statement that's easy to understand, remember, and explain to others. Try to limit your vision statement to 1 to 2 sentences. If you're struggling to develop your vision statement, start by reviewing your company's mission statement and values. What are your company's strengths? What defines and distinguishes you? How can you build off those? But most important, take time for focused reflection. Set aside time to explore your goals and dreams for the company. Try prompting yourself with questions such as, what does success look like? What is a unique outcome that only your company can provide? What do you want to change in your industry or society? What do you want your impact to be? You can always reach out and listen to the shared interests or aspirations of others. Talk to key stakeholders, get feedback, and make sure that your vision statement encapsulates the real heart and purpose that's driving your work.
Okay, so that gave you a little bit of context or thoughts around creating a vision statement and what are some things you do to get ready when you're creating one. So you might create one at work, you might create one personally if there's kind of some big goal like ahead of you, want to get a PhD or something like that. Maybe you establish a vision for your team or for your club. Maybe it's something that you do for a committee. But you can put those thoughts together, and you have these listed in your participant guide that I emailed you. So there's thoughts from the video that are listed in there, and these tips for creating your vision. So what I would like to point you to for just a moment, I'm going to hang tight. Actually, instead, what we're going to do, Gary, I'm going to pass it to you, and then we'll go back to the participant guide. Thank you.
Okay, let's see if we can identify some of these visions that companies have had or still have. Do you want them to unmute and say?
Yes.
Okay, the happiest place on earth. What company's that?
Disney World.
Disney World.
Okay. Now the next one, taste the feeling.
Coke or Pepsi.
I was thinking Skittles, but that's actually Taste the Rainbow.
Coke or Pepsi? Somebody said.
Coke. Pepsi.
It's Coke. And then the last one, to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time.
Starbucks.
World Harvest. Yeah.
Starbucks.
I heard somebody say Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go, Starbucks.
Yeah. Those are fun. Thank you, Gary. That was good. It is kind of interesting to think about how these things are so ingrained, because immediately I heard several, Walt Disney World. So again, here are some key points about developing a vision statement. Who is it for? What do you want to accomplish? The team is. And so in your participant guide, I think it is the second page. Let me go there for a moment. Yeah, page 2. You have a little kind of chart with some blocks, and you see like 4, and it follows this slide right here. Who is it for? What do you want to accomplish? The team is what? What do they do? That does what? Provides community support. That was from our old one. How are we unlike others? So in your organization, if you were doing it for your company, what is your unique offer, unique benefits and services that other companies, other competitors don't offer? And then our team, how will we do it? So the how. So what I would like to do, I'm going to put on a timer and just give you just maybe, I know 2 minutes isn't a very long time, but I just want you to be able to kind of jog some thoughts. So if you have it online, you can just type in it, and if you printed it out, you can write it. So I'm just going to put the timer on for 2 minutes, and you can just work by yourself, and then we're going to come right back, and then we'll talk a little bit. Any questions before we do that? Okay. 30 seconds. Okay, that was 2 minutes. It goes faster than you think it's going to, I know. Okay, so that gave you an opportunity to think about it a little bit. And Gary, I wanted to pass it over to you to talk a little bit more about the vision.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a few words. You know, everyone is given a God-given gift for the family Earth. And what is mine, working with individuals that are transitioning, they have to find their new purpose in life. And then out of that, I can develop my vision. I worked with a cardiologist that was in Texas, and he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He had patented the enzyme for the depositing of the fatty material in the lining of the arteries, which gives you vascular and heart disease. He was so brilliant and he had a wonderful vision, but I said, does anyone know your vision? And he said, no. And then the next question is, do you know any one of your cardiologists, which were 12 to 15, do you know their vision? And how do you come together? So I spent a year with them, and during that year, he got to know their vision and he shared his vision. So then it became our vision. So I think that's the important piece of developing a shared vision. But you have to have something that wants you want to get up in the morning and you got fire in your belly. And I can ask people and I'll tell in nanoseconds whether they do or not. So that's the importance of developing the vision, is making sure you have the passion. Vision is the ability to imagine what you want in the future your company will look like and create a plan for how to get there. I can't do it by myself. I need to have others with me and to developing our vision together, just like the four-way test. Leaders who inspire a shared vision are better able to motivate, engage, and connect their employees. And then a shared vision serves and gives us purpose. It gives employees meaning and direction in their work. So now that they know yours and you know theirs, then we have that shared vision, and it's our vision, not so much my vision. Any questions about vision?
Anybody, you're welcome to come off of mute if you have any questions or thoughts. Okay. Thank you, Gary. So we spent just a few minutes, about 20 minutes, talking about vision. And this work, if you're creating a vision statement, takes a lot more time than that. And I know you know that. So I don't want you to feel like we're telling you, oh, you can just do this easy. I mean, it is something that you really want to kind of nurture and get some opinions on, ask some experts, kind of look at the company values and do some assessments and think about what is it that we are kind of working towards? What is that big thing? You know, is it goodwill and peace? What is that? So that helps you craft it, but it's going to take you some time to kind of put it all together and then kind of nurture it. And I always say, when I'm creating something, I always say, I'm going to nurture it and I'm going to love on it a little bit, and then I'm going to leave it for a while. And then I come back to it and kind of pick at it a little bit more. But it usually doesn't come free flowing right out. So we're going to transition now and start talking about setting our goals. And we have another video that I would like to share with you. But I think we've all kind of know what a goal is. It's something that, is kind of future focused and something that we're working towards. But I love this, quote from Zig Ziglar: "A goal properly set is halfway reached." So this video that we're going to watch now talks about setting goals that actually work. So again, this one's about 3 minutes, and then we'll talk about it after.
Let's face it, setting and reaching goals can be hard. If you're struggling to achieve your goals, you're not alone. Goals, by their very nature, are difficult to achieve. And if you're not setting them in the right way, they can start to feel impossible. So, how do you set goals that actually work? The method you use matters. And to succeed, you need to follow a process and align your goals with the SMART acronym. Let's start with the process. The first step is to get your ideas on paper by writing down your large-scale goals. During this stage, consider what you'd like to achieve, create, have, experience, or give. Then, pick your top goal from the list. Which objective means the most to you right now? The best goals are self-motivating, so put aside what others want from you and focus on what you want. Third, once you have that top goal, break it down by setting smaller milestones. By mapping those checkpoints out, your goal will start to feel more realistic. Fourth, write out the steps it will take to reach each of those smaller milestones. This is your chance to come up with play-by-play directions, so make them as specific as possible. Finally, schedule ongoing process reviews. Plans don't always work out perfectly. And while your large-scale goal might remain the same, you may need to modify the steps you take to get there. When following the goal-setting process, you'll also need to ensure that you're creating a powerful goal rooted in reality. The best goals are SMART, which stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Let's break that SMART acronym down. First, specific goals are well-defined. They offer sufficient direction as to where exactly you want to go. The more details, the better. Measurable goals are ones that you can track. They use quantifiable benchmarks, such as dates and amounts. Instead of, I want to lose weight, they say, I want to lose 3 pounds a week over the next 3 months. Attainable goals are ones you can realistically achieve. They're challenging, but not impossible. They answer yes to questions such as, do I have enough resources, time, and funds to make this happen? Relevant goals are ones that mean something to you. They're relevant to your ambitions, and that makes them worthwhile. Finally, time-bound goals have a deadline. They create internal pressure by following a strict time frame and target due date. As you can see, not all goals are created equal, and the type of goal you set will influence how well it works. So, if you have an ambition, take the time to turn it into a goal. Follow that 5-step process and then put the power of success in your hands by keeping that goal SMART. That way, those hilltop ambitions won't seem so out of reach.
Okay. So we're talking about goals. Thank you for bearing with me for just a moment. I would like to ask if you would put in chat, just yes or no, if you have heard of or worked with SMART goals before. Just put a yes or a no. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, good, good, good. I figured there were a lot of you that had, but I wanted to kind of get a feel for that a little bit. Because once you've written them and you get familiar with them, then you start creating goals for something else, and your mind almost instantly goes to SMART. It's like, sort of innate after you've done it for a while. So I did want to have that opportunity to just understand kind of where we were if you had had experience with those before. You also have that in your participant guide, the SMART acronym, and you can work with that. And I want to show you one in just a moment. But before we do that, I know, Gary, you've got some wonderful stuff to share about some things that were in that video. And so I want to pass it over to you.
Yeah. And then the bottom, the Zig Ziglar. I was a very boisterous heart surgeon when I was younger. And I was so loud that when I was doing a case, the nurse that head of surgical services came in and said, "Dr. Solis, can I talk to you?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Dr. Costin, who is the chief of surgery in the room next to me, he said, he wants to know if you could keep your voice down. You're waking his patient up from anesthesia." So to say I had a little anger issue was, so I went to see somebody about that. And then in '89, they didn't have anger management. So, but I saw somebody and I found out I was dyslexic. So I started listening to audio tapes, which was The Positive Mind by Robert Conklin. And then I went to Nightingale Conant, which was full of audio tapes, and Earl Nightingale was the first one to do self-help, and he did it on a vinyl, and then Brian Tracy with the Universal Laws. So I said I was going to be the president of the medical staff in '90, and I said, "Oh my goodness." Somebody said, "What are your goals?" I said, "I don't know. I don't have any. What are you talking about?" So I went back on Nightingale Conant and got Zig Ziglar's tape, and he had 4 audio tapes that just went through goals. And it's interesting that I set up the goal at that time in '89 to bring the physicians, which were called the white coats, the nurses, which were called the nurses, and the executive team or management team, which were called the suits. And as my year, I wanted to bring them all together as a goal to have everybody work together. And we had somebody come in and do that. And interesting enough, we were all connected, 1 foot on the ground and 1 foot on a step, holding hand. And we had to do it in unison, move with step and step, singing Three Blind Mice. So I didn't know what the goal was going to look like, but I certainly saw that they've come together. So the other thing is the weight. If you notice, she said 3 pounds a week. For us to lose a pound, you have to lose 3,000 calories. So that means you have to lose 1,000 a day, which means if I have an intake of 1,500 calories, I've got to exercise to 2,500 calories. So the purpose of this is don't make your goals that can't be reachable. They need to be very doable, and don't get discouraged. Your weight, when you check on how am I doing? Well, don't weigh yourself every day, but just see how you move down the week, because the most I can do is 3 pounds a week. If you're losing 5, 10, 15 pounds, what you're losing is water weight. So it's just an example of setting my goal, making sure it definitely is relevant if I want to lose weight, and it's attainable, but I have to make sure I know what I'm going to be doing and how to measure that.
Thank you, Gary. And I don't know how much exercise that is to burn 2,500 calories, but I think it's a lot. Okay, so again, you have your SMART goals there, but let me ask you this question. So based upon what you just heard, what's wrong with this goal? Can somebody come off of mute and tell us what you think is wrong with this goal?
It's not specific.
It is not specific. Thank you, Terry. What else? One more thing.
Not measurable.
Not measurable, yeah, because we don't say how much weight. And we're kind of time bound, summer, but is it June 1 or is that like September 1? That's still summer technically.
Very passive voice. It's not I'm going to lose weight or I'm planning to lose weight. It's I want to.
I want to, yeah. Yeah, not, thank you for that. Instead of I will lose 3 pounds a week for however many weeks. Thank you for that. Yeah, this is not a good one. So what we're going to do, again, if you will pull out your phone, if you will come back to, and if you need the QR code here, let me go back there just in case you need it. So I see Joe waiting for players to join. Okay. Anybody come off mute and let me know if you still need time to get the QR code. Look at you guys. Okay. There's only one question. There you go. I will grow my business by gaining 48 new clients. What does this represent as it relates to goals? Is it specific? Would this be a specific statement? Would this be a time-bound statement? Or would this be attainable? Just what do you think? I want to grow my business by gaining 48 new clients. What's it feel like? Did anybody already submit? Because I'm wondering why it's not showing up. Terry, you did submit?
Yeah, I did too.
Okay.
Let's wait and see how you did. So I think it's waiting for.
Oh, it's waiting for the timer. Oh, for Pete's sake, I'm sorry about that. So I put it, I apologize, because I put it long so that you have plenty of time. I don't think that I can make it speed up. So we'll see how this goes on number 2 also. And I don't want to wait 5 minutes. So good lesson for me for next time. This is specific. 48 new clients. So if you said specific, then you were correct. And again, I apologize. We've got one more and we'll see. Yeah, we're gonna go to the next one. I will track progress by measuring how many new clients I bring in each month. Look, I must not have put the time on that one. We're getting a couple different answers on this one. It is measurable, so most people got that one right. Yeah, and it's kind of a given a little bit. I will track progress by measuring. But Gary and I were talking about this one and it could go kind of 2 ways. So we were talking about time bound each month and is it attainable? Could be. So no worries if you did not select measurable, but this is what we're looking for. I will track progress by measuring. So these are a couple of things just to think about when you're setting goals. In the email that I sent you, you also had a worksheet. And I can pull that up. So you can look at it on the screen here. This is to give you an example of SMART goals and what some might look like. And so these are kind of Rotary specific, but think about them in the world either of your personal life, if you're working towards something. So I'm going to write a novel. I'm going to write 8 pages every day or 30 pages by the end of 1 week. You know, what might that look like in your personal life? And then also at work. If you're in sales, you might have sales targets. So you might say, I'm going to make 5 calls a day, every day, so I can hit my sales target. So in this first example, we're saying reduce attrition from 10% to 8% during the calendar year 2021. So we're thinking about it from a club membership perspective. And we lose people a lot in the first year. And a lot of people don't stay for after about 3. So many clubs focus on attrition or retaining and engaging Rotarians. So how do we do that? So you see how you will measure it, what resources you'll need, what this will do for you if you achieve it, and when will you complete it. And I would like one brave volunteer who will offer to read out loud for the rest of us. Block 2, where it starts the DocDB and just read horizontal. I feel like there's somebody out there that's a brave volunteer. Just come off with me and you can read it for us.
You said the second one or our own?
Number 1, going across.
Okay. Reduce attrition from 10 to 8% during the calendar year 2021. How will you measure it? The DACDB database shows our membership numbers, asks the monthly chair to report monthly. Gather data. Why are they leaving? Do you need budget dollars to execute on your tactics? Help us retain members to accomplish our work. And then when we complete it, calendar year 2021.
Thank you, Cody. You're getting a prize. I don't know what it is yet, but you're getting a prize. Yes. Thank you, Nancy. She was applauding you as well. Okay. And I want to ask Steve Heiser. I know that I asked Steve to help write some SMART goals for us. And so this one is Steve's. So Steve, do you want to talk about this one and kind of work us all the way horizontally across it?
Well, you know me, I write a lot. So the specific goal is to increase number of club members who give to the Rotary Foundation through Rotary Direct. Measurable, the Rotary Foundation has a report that shows the number of Rotary Direct members in your club. You can find that out. So that's how you can measure it. Achievable, there are different ways to achieve it. I will need the report, and I'll need to see another report that shows who in the club has been donating to the Rotary Foundation on a regular, if not annual basis. And I'll need to create talking points to show our members how donating to the Rotary Foundation by using Rotary Direct is much easier than writing a check a few times a year, and how much it helps the Rotary Foundation, and how it helps incentivize other club members to donate in that way. I will then need to meet with these members and discuss why it is advantageous to them to donate through Rotary Direct. So basically, I need to create the talking points, then I need to meet with those members and then convince them with the talking points. What will this do for you if you achieve this goal? It will significantly increase the amount of Rotary Foundation giving from our club members on an annual basis. And that is a statistic that traditionally, the more members you have across Rotary that are members of Rotary Direct, the higher your average annual amount of donations are. When will it be complete? Calendar year 2021.
Thank you, Steve. So you've had an opportunity to see two very Rotary specific SMART goals. And again, these are, this is just a way that you can work through when you're creating your own goals to make sure that you get all the important pieces. And we'll talk about tracking them in just a little bit too. Any questions on goals before we move over to our next part? Okay, Gary, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Okay, executing your plan. This is an interesting one for me. For 3 years, well, 3 years ago, I had the virus and I was sick for a month and I didn't work out at all. Since then, I worked out every single day, the same time, the same way. Every morning I do the dogs 1.5 miles, then I do elliptical 6 to 7 miles, then I do the dogs 1.5 miles again. And so interesting enough, if I'm not doing this the same time, let's say I have a meeting in the morning and it'll be around 10 o'clock, my watch will hit the ding and say, we just want to let you know you're usually further ahead with your progress. So you just might want to check your rings. But that's one way of how do we execute the plan. We'll continue it, making sure you execute it one by one. You have your vision, you set your goals, they're doable. How do we do it? Well, create an announcement. This is so important to share with people that are going to be your supporters. Those are the people you want to let them know so that you know that they will support you with the project, no matter what it is. Also, hold a launch meeting. You can share it with your team. But again, how do we share this shared goal that we're going to come up with as a team, rather than setting a goal, well, we're each going to get praised if we get a certain number. Well, also part of that is, how do I support my other fellow teammates? So you get credit for that as well as just what you're doing. And put your goal and plan where you'll see them. That's an interesting point too, is how can I make sure I'm aware when I get up, I'm aware of what I want to do. Sometimes until it becomes a habit, that which takes 30 days, I may not think about it. So have something where you're going to see it. Some people put it up in the mirror in the morning in their bathroom where they're getting ready, or in their office, or in their car as they're driving. So those are all possibilities that you can do. And then tracking your progress. There again, I shared the one with my Apple Watch, that it tells me. Some other things we can do is creating a checklist. You can do it on your calendar. You can also use paper clips or something like that. If you do it, you put the paper clip in a jar, so that as you get through the month, you see that you really have made progress. Another way is that, and I heard about this from Dana, is that you put 10 coins in your pocket. And if you want to do something that you want to connect with a fellow worker, you make sure you do it. And then you take 1 coin out of that pocket and put it into your right pocket. Well, if you do that enough, then you will see how you do at the end of the day. So you've made your progress. And then there's the Seinfeld method. You can place an X each day on the calendar, but measure the differences: current state, future state, what's the gap? The big thing is, how do I do this so that I'm encouraging myself rather than discouraging myself? And I think that's an important piece. And if I don't make it this, don't get down on myself if I just can't do this. When I had the COVID vaccine, the second dose, I didn't work out for 2 days. And I just said, I'm going to lay in bed. That's the way it goes. But the next day I was back at it, and I haven't missed since. So give yourself permission that if it's for your health as well, you got to take care of yourself too. You may need to kick it up a notch. So that's where sharing it and sharing your progress with your fellow companion or your fellow goal setter. Have the two of you. How do you encourage? And the other thing is, how do we give each other ideas that will help them be successful? I had a patient, every patient I did, I would say, you got to diet, exercise, and stop smoking. And so I said that to everyone. Well, on the 6-week checkup, this lady came in, she said, Dr. Saldus, if you could tell me how to do it, I'd be more than happy to do it. So how do we tell each other what's our success stories? What's our good exercise? What's the best way to, how did I stop smoking? Or what diet do I go on? Who do I get for a dietitian? How do we get support from one another? Which is, I'm using medical, examples because that's my life, or it was my life, but how do you go and use these same processes within your organization, within your clubs? How do we do this within our clubs to create better fellowship and better relationships? How do we support one another? How can we be seen by one another? So, yeah, set time aside to see how you're doing and to share that with your fellow companion that you're going to do this goal with, or the whole team. Maybe have weekly team meetings, and how are we successful with each other, and then how can we support one another? What do you need to have more support to be successful with your goal? And so we're working with each other, not in our silos. And dashboards, the visual presentation of on and off track. This is a good for measuring multiple goals at once. So we can have that in the main meeting area, and just to have it. The biggest thing is, how do we heighten the awareness of what we want to be successful with? So that's one good way of keeping track, but not for punitive damage, but for encouragement. And I think that's the most important thing. Dana?
Okay, thank you. So we're going to do a share again. Here's the QR code or the website. You see the next message, or I'm sorry, the next prompt come up. What methods do you use to try to help you stay on track? I've seen also in some clubs when they're fundraising and you do the thermometer, and you kind of fill it up. So a text message auto reminder is really good. Tell a friend or coworker. Yeah, when you kind of put it out there and you say, I'm going to do it, it becomes now a thing and it's real. Also, Gary, I wanted you to look in the chat. Price asked you a question in the chat.
Oh.
Tell a friend or coworker checklist, share, keep a checklist daily. Write it down, Post-it notes. Yeah, I had a friend who did Post-it notes everywhere, all over her home, while her and her family were saving money to go to Hawaii. And she would remind herself, like all over the house, like not to waste money, like money's going in the savings because we're going to Hawaii. So Gary, do you ever get mad at your watch?
No, that's what the question was. No, I really don't. And to tell you the truth, I do. My wife gets upset with me because I'm so predictable every single day. She says, you can't miss a day, or you can't change your schedule. So, but I don't get mad at my watch. No.
Yeah. So Post-it notes on the desk, right on the whiteboard. Kanban board. Yes, I love a Kanban board. If you're curious about Kanban boards, just Google it. And it is a really good visual method, and you can move it around. Also, for those of you who are kind of techie, I see Emily Chapman was with us. So Emily, you might love this. There's a tool called Mural, M-U-R-A-L, and it has like great tools for stuff like this, and for like working on brainstorming sessions, but it's got some really good stuff in there for Kanban boards. So we see checklist is showing up over and over and over, writing it down, sharing with others. Those are some that we see again and again. Okay.
Another thing we could do is this too, is when you are working with somebody, rather than you saying, do you want me to remind you to do this? No, ask the person, what can I do? How can I support you? Do you want to check in with me every so often as to what you need? Or rather than having to do it, doing it for somebody else to make sure they do their goal, and put the responsibility, let them have the responsibility to share with you as to how is it best for them, for me to support them. So,
yeah.
I just went blank.
Well, I wanted to add to your thought there, because when we were talking about goals, one of the things that I wanted to share with you is when you're writing, if you're working on goals for your club, you don't have to work in a silo. You can work with your board and with committees. And so, for example, I was head of the membership committee in my club, and our club president said, what will the membership goal be for our coming year? And I worked with our committee and we said, what do we think is reasonable in this time of COVID? And so we kind of worked it out and thought about it and then put our tactics together. And on your participant guide, that worksheet section there, because there's 2 different attachments. So you heard we had Cody read through number 1, Steve read through number 2. Below that, you'll see one kind of fleshed out a little bit with actions. Like we pretended we did a survey and we found 2 pieces of information. Based on those 2 pieces of information, what actions can I take to influence that goal? So that's kind of working towards it. And then of course you're tracking your progress. I'm sorry, Gary, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking of, I'm president, now what? And do I think of, is this my year or is it our year? And that's where the board and everybody else, if we want to set up goals for the club, how do we make sure we have our voices in there so that we all, get a voice, just like we started. It's so important to put our voices with the group when we start our meeting and everything. So how do we make sure we feel included by putting our voice in there?
Yes. And speaking of putting our voice in there, I would also like your voice to be shared in this survey. I just put a link in the chat to a SurveyMonkey survey. It'll take you less than 3 minutes. There aren't many questions. It's just to give us feedback on today so that we can kind of tweak things and make things better as we go along. So it is in your chat. And if you just click on it, then it will open up in a browser. I will send it out to you all too, so that you have it, but if you wanted to do it while everything's fresh. We're getting close to our time. We've just got 10 more minutes. So we wanted to remind you about the tools that you have. None of these things are as easy as doing them in an hour. We're not trying to imply that in any way. This is giving you some kind of overarching information about how to get started. And then take the tools and Gary mentioned earlier, set some time aside and plan, write your vision, think about some goals. Again, you're probably going to want to talk to other people, even if they're not Rotary goals, but like at work, if you're creating some goals, you might be working with your leader. If you're the owner of the company, you might be working with your team. And then ideas for how to stay on track and any kind of good visual or a reward when you reach a certain milestone. Just don't make it, lost 3 pounds, now eat cake. That's not going to help you going forward. But if it was like, to get 3 new clients in X amount of time and you did it, reward yourself. That's up to you. That will be different for each person, but it's a good way to keep you motivated. Or if you have it way out there, like at the end, I'm going to buy a new whatever. Okay. I want to just pause there. I'm going to leave this on the screen for a moment, ask what questions you have, or if anybody would like to come off of mute and share anything relative to these topics we talked about today or going forward. We would love to hear them. And we've got a few minutes. Steve or Price, and I'm sorry, I have to admit, I made the error and I did something that would not allow MJ to get back in, and I texted with her a little bit and she couldn't get in today. So I feel really badly for that. I'm sorry, but I will send her the recording. Steve, did you have something you wanted to share?
I just want to, this is the first time we've ever done this in the district, and I think that I think this was a great session. It had great information. You can take some of these ideas and start using them right now. You don't need other pieces and parts to start to start using that, smart, the smart chart. And I'm really excited that all of you were on this, because I think we need persons who are invested in trying to move our district forward, move your clubs forward. Not when I say the district is all about the clubs. And I'm so happy that so many of you from so many different clubs are on this, and take this back, talk to your club leadership if you're not already in club leadership. And if you are, make sure you spread it to others. And if you have ideas that we didn't have on this, please, Dana, is there a place for them to share ideas? Because not all the ideas are held by what we're doing here. Some of you may have some excellent ideas that the rest of us should know about. So I would
Yes, put them on the survey.
and yeah, please use that survey and do that, because this is all about sharing and getting better and growing together. So Dana, thank you and your team. Gary, thank you so much. I mean, I thought the two of you were a great team. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. Gary?
Yeah,
Any
and
comment?
Dana, this is a wonderful segue, is that we would really, if anyone is interested in joining the district training team, we really would love to have as many people as possible to, because we have a smaller group, but we'd love to expand. So if anyone has any desire or knows someone that this would be, we're welcoming anybody and everybody.
Thank you for that. Thank you for remembering that. And Nancy Kruger is on, and she's on
Yes.
our training team too. Hi, Nancy.
Yeah, I see that.
She's awesome. Bryce, were you going to share something? I saw you come off mute.
Thanks, Dana. I was just going to say that I'm glad that everyone was able to be in the meeting today, and I hope that you got something out of this. I certainly did, with the charts for the SMART goals, and really kind of focusing in on that as a way to accomplish your goals. So I like the way that what we're doing here in this course has application, not only as as I look at the screen, a lot of us are in leadership roles in our clubs, but we're also professionals. And I like the application of what we're covering here to both our Rotary lives and our professional lives. So I appreciate Dana and Gary for leading this session today. And if you were here today, yeah, please do the survey, because I think Dana really wants that feedback so that we can make sure this is effective for you.
Thank you for that. Anybody else have anything they want to share before we go, or any last ideas that will benefit others, or any questions?
Hey, this is Mike Throne. I am in the Chillicothe Club, and I want to thank you guys for investing this time with us. First of all, I think I think a lot of times we take it for granted that folks that are either in Rotary positions of leadership or in leadership in their own community, but maybe new to Rotary, they kind of already have the skills. And so, one, I think the reinforcement of some of those skills is really, really, really important. But then I also want to say that I think the compact format that you've put with it's an hour and 15 minutes is perfect. It comes after hours, and so that time is valuable, I think, for folks. But to me, and some of the stuff that I've heard today, I've already known, but it was a great reminder. That compactness of this makes it super important because it doesn't take too much time, and it serves as a great reminder. So I want to thank you for that, and thank you for the upcoming sessions, because I think they're going to be really valuable for our clubs. I think in Chillicothe, we're faced with that. The noon club that we have lost quite a few members over the past few years because a lot of folks have gotten older, and that was an older club. And so we're trying to figure out ways to engage younger members and bring them into the fold as well. And so that'll be one of the things that I think I take back to our club as we try to make goals, to help us bolster that membership moving forward. So again, thanks for the investment of time and the way that you've approached this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike, and thank you for sharing that. I appreciate the feedback and the thoughts, and I'm with you. It's hard to go too long after a long day of work too. I wanted to say, Mike, you might want to also look at Jenny Stotts' meetings that she has every other month. They're membership focused for the club that you said lost a lot of people. That might be beneficial. Yes, sorry, go ahead. I know we have somebody else. Yes.
Mike, are you with Craig Klein?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, Don?
Dana, I spent 28 years in the military, and of course, they're always trying to define leadership. And we define leadership as a person that gets things done through other people.
Mm.
And if you can't get people to do stuff, then you'll never be a leader. So I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, so I love that. Thank you. So I'm sure you're going to have some good stories when we talk about influence. So I hope you'll come to that one too. Thank you, Don. Anybody else before we go? Thank you all for hanging with us. Look forward to seeing you next time. I'll hang
Thank you
on
all.
here, but I would like you to take the survey, so please do. Thank you for coming.
Have a good evening.
Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you. Dana, thank you. Gary, really, it was wonderful.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Right,
Thank you, Steve,
great,
for
as usual, great comments.
Steve, thank you
And
for your
Don,
contribution.
thanks for being on, Don.
Thank you.
Okay, absolutely. So you guys have a great evening. Night.
Thank you. We've got a few folks still on. We're just hanging with you in case you had something else you wanted to talk about. Price, thank you. I feel horrible about MJ.
Oh, me too.
I
was
think she must have
texting.
been that first one.
Yeah,
Remember when I said remove and they said on there, if you remove this person, they can't come back.
yeah.
Oh,
I don't know why. I wish we could figure out why that happened the way it did. I mean, obviously, the next time around, we would admit anyone named Dana Vogelmeyer, and then kind of sort it out once we got them into the room. I was still having, and I don't know. I'm afraid that this Zoom moderator function I was trying to play today was not a very good match with my uptight personality, because I was trying to communicate